now in the presence of a king. You are now in the presence of a now in the presence of a king.
All right. We are officially live. Let's go. What's up? What's going on, RockStarr fam? It's your boy RockStarr here. All right, you already know Rico back with another live, YouTube live for you guys. I know we've been absolutely enjoying these. We've been killing it, bringing on the different people. Just getting excited, getting to hear the success stories of other people and really diving into the real stuff, right? The stuff right, that you need to hear, stuff that is really going to help you elevate and really going to help you take your trading to the next level, the stuff that is going to kind of put you on the right path and even understanding that it's possible for you, and not none of that fluff, right? We stay away from the fluff that's on social media, all the hype, the excitement. We get real down and dirty on these lives, man. And I think that's why everyone here has been enjoying them so much. Nothing but value on value on value. And just super excited for that, man. We're going to keep these going. We got another guest speaker here on today, so I'm super fired up for that. This is someone that I've known for a very long time. But real quick, before we even bring this person up, man, how you guys feeling today? Who here is excited? Drop some sevens in the chat if you guys are excited. Drop some sevens in the chat, in the chat box if you guys have had an amazing week. All right, I want to see how long have some of you here been trading. Who's brand new to trading? Right? Have you been trading for a month, 2 months, 6 months, 2 years? Let's see in the chat box. Let's go ahead and light this thing up, man. Before we get this live started, I want to make sure that everybody is here and participating, because like I say, we do these lives. I try to get at least once a month with a special guest, someone that's seen success, that can really add value to you and help you take your trading to the next level. But here's the thing, man. These people don't have to be here, right? They don't have to be on these lives. They don't have to be pouring into you guys. I mean, especially for free. I think there's knowledge, right? There's knowledge, there's advice, there's things that you learn from these YouTube lives that we've been doing that people literally charge thousands of dollars for, right? Thousands of dollars for. You guys are buying, $800, $900 courses, $1,000 courses, paying for, in-person trainings and all this stuff, man. All this stuff. And we're doing it here for free on YouTube. So super excited, and fired up for that, guys. So let's get it. We're going to jump right into this right now, man. The person that I'm going to be bringing up today is somebody that I have known for, I would say, what was it? It has to be 15, 16, 17. It's for about, I think about 8 years. 8 years, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it's about 8 years now. Has seen a lot of success. I remember around the time, first met him, we were both brand new to the trading space. At that time, man, he was way more serious than I was when it came to trading. I was just focused on the signals and over leveraging. And I know some of y'all here can relate to that, man. I was focused on signals and over leveraging like crazy because I was trying to get rich, man. I didn't want to learn. I just wanted to get rich. How many of y'all can relate to that, right? So that was me. But this guy was in the lab studying, doing his markups, always very calm, very cool, right? We're like almost opposites, but opposites attract. And that's why we've been, I would say together, rocking out friends for so long. We've grown massive, businesses together in our previous business. Both was able to grow organizations of 500 plus people back in the MLM space. And I don't think either one of us are really pushing MLM anymore, but there's one thing that did stick. And that is the fact that we do both trade. And that was one thing that I know we both can take from that experience, being in that space for, the amount of years that we were in, coming out, learning the skill of trading, being able to make the profits. And now those profits are contributing to our lifestyle. So with that being said, man, my guy, Josh Sanchez, are you here with us today?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Look at this guy. Yes, we can hear you, man. You almost look like AI generated. That's how far your whole setup looks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. I appreciate that, man. It's been a while. I see that your family's getting big over there, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. We got another one on the way, right? Wow. We got another one on the way. So it's definitely it's always interesting.
Blessings, man. Blessings. That's absolutely a beautiful thing. Yeah, no, I'm excited to be here. To tell you guys a little bit about myself, I know we go way back, man. I know when you said we've known each other for about probably eight-ish years or so. Yeah, it's been a while. We've known each other for a very long time. And yeah, I mean, if for me, this whole thing of trading really, I guess you could say I got exposed to the idea of trading back in, I want to say 2016, 2015-ish. But I was really just dabbling in it. You know what I mean? I wasn't really taking it as serious as I wanted to. And when you're in that situation of you hear about trading and you're excited about the possibilities with trading, you're just that kind of like what you were talking about, I was very much into that mindset of, oh, I want to get rich quick. I want to have a lot of success in a short period of time. And just like anyone else, it happens to the best of us. We all like over leverage, we blow accounts, and it happens. But yeah, among that, I mean, what else can I tell you guys about myself? I'm originally from New York. I pretty much lived here my whole life. That's where I'm at now. There was a point in time, obviously, when I was bouncing around from New York to Florida. It was kind of funny. I probably moved back and forth. I want to say maybe like 4 or 5 times, probably even more than that. It's like a little bit of a blur right now. But aside from that, obviously I don't come from like privilege or anything like that. I'm a regular, 29-year-old Latino guy with just a lot of ambitions, a lot of goals. And watching my parents personally as I, was growing up, seeing the things that they had to go through, the trials and tribulations, the failures, the successes, it kind of just sparked a motivation in me where I told myself that, whatever I have to do to make sure that I'm breaking the generational curse of, running the rat race and running the hamster wheel, I was going to do that. And sure enough, at some point in time, that's when trading fell on my lap. And obviously we were exposed to the industry of MLM, which, to piggyback off of what you were talking about, it was also a blessing in disguise, honestly, because it really helps you sharpen your philosophy and your psychology, and it helps you in a lot of ways that you really wouldn't think it would. And it's crazy, but crazy the way that works. But yeah, that's a little bit about myself. I currently day trade. I post on social media as well, or at least, making the efforts to really go in on that. But yeah, that's a little bit more about myself, who I am, where I come from, and what I currently do.
Got you, man. Got you. So I know we go way back, right? We go way back. I remember back when you first started trading, that first company we was in, I think it was like 2015, if I'm not mistaken, probably around 2015, 2014, right? A while back. I remember you used to do like the live streams, right? You used to do the company live streams. So you've been trading for a while. You've been trading, I would say, like more seriously and more consistent for a longer period of time than myself, right? And I remember when y'all was first doing those trading rooms, they were called the PIP rooms, right? So everybody here, we used to have the PIP rooms back in the day. And the PIP rooms, all right, obviously we know when you're trading, a PIP is, percentage in point, right? It's a PIP. But the PIP rooms were people in profit. So we had the people in profit rooms, which were fire. And I was brand new and I used to get on those. And you guys used to trade London session, give out, the fire, calls and signals. And everybody used to be on there staying up super late, right? I hated staying up late, but I used to catch y'all when I could. So real quick, I would say, like, for the people, before we get into the good stuff, right? Because I always say everybody, sees the glory, but only few really know the story, right? Before we get into good stuff, it's been almost 10 years since that point. How has the journey been to get from where you were all the way back there? Because like you said, you moved back and forth from Florida, here, there. I'm sure you've done multiple things along the way, right? There was a point in time. See, everybody on my YouTube knows I used to drive Uber. There was a point in time where we both used to drive Uber, right? And I tell this story all the time too. It was crazy. So I used to have a Benz, right? My Benz started acting up and going crazy. It got to the point where I had to get rid of my Benz. I used to go all the way to Long Island, and I used to borrow Josh's car so that I could Uber, and then I'll give it back to him so he could Uber as well. And we used to do that back and forth, man. But it's the little things like that people don't see along the journey, right? Getting up into that point, like we're good now. We're making our profits. We're doing our thing. We're living our lives. Both have successful businesses, even outside of this. But what has the journey been like for you, right? Yeah. Not all the good stuff, but what's the journey like?
Yeah, definitely. That's crazy. That's such a blast from the past, man. It's insane. Like thinking about it right now, I'm like reflecting on it and as you're speaking, and I'm just like, wow, if I could go back in time and probably slap myself upside the head, in some of these with some of the situations I put myself in, I probably would. But starting with the whole, I guess the era of live trading for other people, that for me was, first of all, I want to say I was 18, probably 19 at the time. So just to put this into retrospect for people that are listening, imagine being 18, right, 19 years old, and you have no strong background about trading, right? And you're put in a position where you are, I wouldn't say responsible for managing other people's money, but you have that weight on your shoulders where a lot of people from all parts of the world are looking to you for that guidance, right? And for me, being again 18, 19 years of age and not having that strong background, I hadn't had earned my stripes yet at the time. So for me, it's like, all right, it has to be perfection. Like I have to be perfect. And if it's one thing that I've learned over time, is that when you have this mentality of, doing something for the first time and you think it's going to come out perfect, it's not. most of the time it's not. So the pit rooms were absolutely phenomenal for the fact that there was a lot of a lot of excitement around it. And I think for me personally, being that I was still excited about the concept of trading and I was doing my studies with trading, I was more excited at the fact that I was able to surround myself virtually with a lot of other people around the world, just like you, Rico, that were like very committed to the journey. And I think that's what for me was the biggest motivation and driving factor as to why I had no problem being 18, 19, waking up at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. I'm 29 now. Now that might be a little bit different, right? But at least at the time, I had no problem waking up at 2, 3 in the morning and trading with other people because it was the excitement to trade those London sessions. And I'll tell you right now, on the nights that we were cashing out, making money, myself and my colleagues, it was absolutely insane. Like we would trade the London session, we make our money, go to sleep, and when I wake up the following that same morning, my phone would be absolutely going crazy with notifications of like shout outs and people posting their profits, and it was like a whole era of just nonstop excitement. I think that's around the time when live streaming, like when live trading sessions were not even like a thing yet. You know what I mean? Like that, like they weren't even popping like that yet. Now you have people doing that all the time. But it was an amazing experience to say the least. As far as the journey and what that's been like outside of trading, yeah, the Uber times were insane. They were definitely insane. I was driving a Honda Civic at the time, which was like, I called it my humble Honda because there was a lot of things about that car that
I remember that Honda, man.
it was a beautiful car, man. It's crazy because I ended up getting rid of it in Florida, and I reached back out to the guy I sold it to, and I told him, hey, I want to buy the car back. And the guy is just like, well, we'll have to talk about that, figure it out. But long story short, amongst other things, right, I've done a lot of other things outside of trading and being in the industry, obviously, like MLM, which was a nice experience. A lot of uphill battles, that one has to climb, a lot of ups and downs, just like anything else though, right? And I learned a lot from that. Obviously learned a lot from my experience with working for myself as far as Uber goes, and then my experience with being in sales, outside of MLM, even doing like traditional sales, like working for call centers and things like that. It's taking all of these experiences and being in these positions where I'm, at the end of the day, no matter what I was doing, I always had that thought of, I want to create something. I want to, I know that this is what I'm doing now because it's what I have to do, right? Because nobody wants to wake up at 5 in the morning and drive around for 8 hours straight. But sometimes you're put in situations in your life where you have to do things, even if you don't want to, you have to do them because you know that it's a step closer in the direction of you ultimately doing the things that you want to do, right? So that was what was running through my mind. I want to say 99% of the time is like, I get it, this is what I'm doing now, but I want to create something. Like I feel like my life purpose is to create, right? So I have to find out what can I create that I'm gonna be attached to, on an emotional sense, where I'm like, I'm gonna be motivated to do it every day. I'm gonna be inspired to work on it every day. And that's, brings us to where we're at today. Right. So,
Right.
again, a lot of humble experiences, nothing that I would obviously regret. Right. But it's crazy times, very crazy times.
Very crazy times, man. A lot of the stories, man, a lot of the stories I be telling on YouTube, guys, when you hear about them old stories I be telling you about Uber days and stuff like that, Josh was there through all of it. We were going through the same things. It was wild, man. Traveling around, trying to get this trading thing down. It's definitely been a journey. There's one thing, right? I want to start getting into the trading stuff now, right? So there's one thing that I've always kind of admired, right, about Josh. Like, anybody that knows me, I'm very spontaneous. I'm wild. I just go out there. I just do things. Like, I like to get things done. And when I first started trading, it was kind of like the same thing, right? It's like you can't learn, teach an old dog new tricks. That's probably why I resonate with binary options so much, right? Just wild, spontaneous, throwing money out there, right? It's crazy. But one thing I've always admired about Josh is just one word. And you guys have heard me, I talk about it all the time. I train on it. I always say, right, you need discipline, right? And you need patience, right? So you need patience, discipline, and the ability to control your emotions, right? And I'm sure you guys probably seen it already on this live. Josh is a very chill, cool, laid back, right, kind of dude, right? But look at his backdrop. It says it right there on his backdrop. Nice big letters. It says patience, right? And that's something that I've always, when we used to trade together, he's come to my house, right? Something that I've always struggled with in the beginning. I'm sure a lot of you here probably struggle with it too, whether you can, own up to it or not. We all struggle with a little bit of patience. And I remember we used to be taking trades and Josh would wait, right? He would wait for it. And I'm just like throwing standards on it and I'm blowing my account and we would joke about it. And I just throw a standard and blow the account. And it was good because we had a lot of up days and then we had a lot of down days, even more down days, right? But this guy has always had the patience. He's always been calm. And even when we talk about like his strategy and the way that he trades, I know he does, he posts his results, right? I think it's you have like a MyFX book and stuff like that, right? That you post stuff.
Yeah, so he posts accounts.
Yep. So he posts that on like his Instagram. So you guys can follow him as well. He posts his results and stuff like that. But like I said, one thing always stuck out with me, and that was patience, right? So Josh, along your journey, what's like, just talking about your trading style, we're gonna get into it. He's gonna hit the charts in a few. I know you guys are probably excited about that. But like just talk about like your trading style a little bit. What is one thing that you learned along the way that contributes to, I would say, like your success and your consistent results and the ability to have the patience and just, wait for that setup, not be too impatient and just, do what you got to do to make your money?
Yeah, definitely. So aside from the fact that, I've blown more accounts that I could possibly think of, just like anybody else does, right? Anybody who's ever told you guys that they've never blown an account, that's somebody that I would definitely stay away from, right? But for me, it's funny story actually, right? As far as the sign goes, so that the sign, like you said, it reads patience. It's funny because on Valentine's Day of this year, my girlfriend actually gifted me the sign. So I kind of like, she knew what I was planning to do at the time. I was still working in sales, but I had shared with her, some of my plans, like where my head was at, where I was looking to be by, the summer, or if not by the end of the year. And I remember that along that route, I was trading very aggressively, right? It was funny because when I was placing small positions trading, I would absolutely kill it. And when I was going ahead and placing bigger positions, right, risking more of my account, I was losing. And I had to take a step back, and I basically used her as like a therapist, right? Like I said, hey, listen, I'm doing this right, and I'm doing this wrong, and I don't understand where I'm going wrong, because the lot size shouldn't matter if you have the utmost confidence, right? And so what she said to me, right? She was like, well, maybe what you need is just to be more patient, right? Maybe you just need to be more patient with your emotions, more patient with your trading thing. And I was like, yeah, maybe you're right. And so next thing you know, for Valentine's, she got me the sign, and I was like, and then she was like, you need to look at this every time you're going to trade. And I'm like, all right. So every morning, whenever I pull up the charts and I put on CNBC and I start to, take a look and see what's going on with the Dow Jones and all the other fun stuff, I immediately just take a quick look back and I'm like, all right, there it is. There's her, subconsciously in my head, letting me know, like, okay, if you're going to trade, be patient, and if you're not going to trade, still be patient, because success doesn't come easy. But as far as some of the things that I've, something that's really helped me, and what, with like the experiences that I've had with trading, and I will say this, aside from patience, I've learned a lot about myself as a person from trading. And it sounds a little bit cliche, but I feel like for people that really have a hunger to learn how to trade and be successful and redesign their entire life through the markets, you really have to allow the markets to teach you things that you probably didn't even know about yourself, like patience. I'll give you guys another one, right? How you handle the greed, right? How you handle your ability to, look at your profits and say, all right, I'm going to close this trade. I'm going to take this to the house because this just paid for my car note. This just paid for my cell phone bill. This just paid for 25% of my rent, right? So it's the ability to really get good at how you handle things like the greed, right? How you handle fear. If you are in drawdown, which happens to a lot of us, how do you handle the fear of being in drawdown, right? You're negative. Are you getting upset? Are you closing the charts? Are you closing your trade early, which a lot of people do, and that goes with your psychology. So again, it all ties into discipline and how you handle revenge, because it's a real thing. It's like, it happens all the time, whether you're trading options or binaries or Forex or current cryptos, doesn't matter. It's like you have to have that ability to know that if you have lost out on a trade and you want to force yourself to get back in because you're so sold on your bias, then that is you trading emotionally, regardless of what you fool yourself into thinking, like, no, it's my technical analysis. It's just, X, Y, and Z. It's emotional. And so when you learn to be real with yourself, right? When you're honest with yourself and you're like, you know what, I messed up today. I got emotional. I revenge traded. I blew another account. Once you get to that point, that's when the discipline meter starts to go up, and that's where I've found myself through my experience so far, is just watching that meter go up. And it's not a significant, increase, but you notice it, Yeah,
no, that makes sense, man. That makes sense. And it's crazy. Like, you talk about a lot of stuff, and I don't know. It's just because we spent a lot of time together, but I feel like we talk about a lot of the same things, right? And I know for a fact there's a lot of people on this stream. There's a lot of people that's going to be watching and rewatching this live, right? That we've all blown plenty of accounts before, right? And I always say, like, that's really, that would be how you handle those blown accounts is what really determines, like, if you're a good trader or if you're still kind of coming up, if you're still brand new, right? It's the mentality. It's how you think about those losses, how you handle them, and the patience that you had, the greed factor, right? Everything with that Josh was just pretty much talking about and saying, that all goes. And again, on this channel, we talk about a lot of the things that people don't really talk about in trading, right? A lot of these YouTube videos is all about money, how much I made, how you can make, how I made $20,000 today trading and this and this and the best strategy and all of that. But what you don't see is, and this is what I've noticed, and this is what I've learned, and I know everybody's a little bit different. But when I was coming up on trading, I started getting into podcasts, right? And that's where I even kind of sprouted the idea to even start doing these things, like on YouTube lives and stuff like that. I'm not at the podcast level yet, right? We're gonna get there, right? But these YouTube lives, I'm listening to these podcasts and that kind of stuff. And what I realized is that a lot of the traders that you don't hear about, right? A lot of the people like the Josh Sanchez's, right? That maybe isn't like, a million subscribers on YouTube and stuff like that. A lot of people, even like Ness, right? We had Ness on here. Ness has made over a lot of millions of dollars in trading. But again, he doesn't really do too much of the social media thing. We had, we had Stopwatch Jones, right, on here. We had Edwin Diaz. We had a bunch of these people. A lot of the people that I've noticed that make money, especially the older crowd, isn't really out here flaunting and flexing and showing all this stuff. And all that stuff is cool, right? But they're talking about controlling their emotions. They're talking about not being greedy. They're talking about having a set amount that you want to make on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. I usually determine how consistent when I'm looking at people and I see like if I really want to follow them, in their trading and stuff like that, their value, the value that they provide is one thing, but I also look at their consistency. And when I say consistency, I mean in the money that they're making. One thing that I was never really a fan of, and I don't know what your input on this, Josh, is, but one thing I was never really a fan of is the person that would show online maybe like a $20,000 day and then disappear and then show like, oh, I made $5,000 today, and then, disappear. And then a few months later, oh, how I made, 25,000. It was just very inconsistent, if that makes sense. And it kind of reminded me, and I know, Josh, you trade MT4, right? You trade with MetaTrade leverage style Forex, right?
Yeah.
So it reminded me of binary options traders. You guys know, if you follow me, I trade binary options on YouTube. I feel like I do very well on YouTube with binaries because there's not a lot of actual traders on YouTube that trade binaries. You'll see a lot of the people that I was just talking about, like how I made, $1 to $10,000 trading binary options, right? But they never really give any value or substance. And it's also never consistent profit, if that makes sense. It's always like one day I'm here, one day I'm here, one day I'm here, one day I'm here, and it's never consistency. And one thing, and when I noticed, following Josh, we haven't spoken in a while, but follow him on Instagram, looking at, what he's doing with his, he's logging his trades and everything like that on his stories. One thing that I liked, and I was like, you know what, I got to get Josh on the live stream because I like that he was very consistent in the growth of his account. It wasn't a major flux of one day my account's here, the next day it's all the way up here, right? And then I disappear for a few weeks, and then, who knows what happens in those few weeks? They could have blown the whole damn account and then come back and be like, I make another 20,000. And that's not consistent. I would say that's pretty stressful, right? To have to live like that, right? Whereas, like I said, when I'm looking at Josh, and we're gonna get to Josh's like social medias and everywhere you can follow him. I know he could shout himself out whenever he wants, but when I follow him and I'm looking at the stuff, I seen consistency. And I seen even in that little, I trade binary, so I don't have the MyFX book thing, but the little chart, the little growth chart, you see his account steadily growing over time. And that's what I respect. I respect that when it comes to the trading space, because to me, that shows a consistent trader. That shows a trader that's not in it for the hype, for the get rich quick. That's not in it for, all the glorious things. That shows somebody who's going to be trading 10 years from now. Someone who can say, hey, I'm a trader. Because the truth is, a lot of these people say I'm a trader. I guarantee you 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you won't even know their name anymore. They're not here, right? They're not in the trading space, right? And that's what I liked about it, right? So Josh, real quick, before we get into you hitting the charts and doing all that other fun stuff, I get asked this all the time, right? For binaries, I don't really think it matters, but I think it also kind of depends on what you trade, how you trade it, strategy-wise and stuff like that. I got two questions for you before we move on. Number one, ideally, what's your favorite time to trade? Like when do you get on the charts?
Yeah. So last summer, right? During I think it was last summer, I started to really get active on the charts during the London session. And I was doing phenomenally well. However, while I was still trading, I also had my day job that I had to attend to. So I couldn't, imagine you waking up at 2, 3 in the morning, but then you got to be up again by 7, and then you have 8 hours of work, come back home. And it's just like, how do you manage? So although I was getting the results on the charts, it was starting to affect my mental health. And I had to really make a decision and say, all right, well, it's not the end of the world, right? I have to adjust. As a trader, we always adjust. So I went ahead and I took a stop from trading London sessions, and I diverted to trading New York sessions. And I've stuck with that ever since. That's what's brought me the most consistency so far in my journey. But I do want to say one thing as far as what you were touching on with, what social media has been really pumping out, I guess you could say within the last year or two. It's kind of sucks to see, what's happened with the trading community, because it's become more of like a marketing type of industry more than just being authentic. And I get why, obviously, people with deals and things like that. But at the end of the day, you want to follow the person that will not be afraid to talk about what their record is like. I'll give you guys a perfect example. Like this week, it was an absolutely, bad week for myself. I had a $2,000, probably a little bit over $2,000 loss, but I don't, let that completely destroy me. And my people know, like the people that I trade with, they know, like my groups, they're aware. But at the end of the day, what really matters is the consistency, like you were talking about, is your ability to take a look at, all right, well, this is what happened this week. How can I mitigate my losses next week? How can I refine my philosophy? How can I refine my psychology? So when you hit the charts the following week, and I've had moments like that all the time. Everybody does. You have a losing month, you have a losing week, the losing streaks happen, and I don't know if people know this, but the most successful traders in the world, they're right less than 30% of the time. So think about that. Like if you are here looking at all of these people posting that they're making significant amount of money on social media and you're buying into that, you have to understand that at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is that people will show, and I know it's a hard pill to swallow because this comes from your biggest influencers on social media, but it's the truth. People want you to see what they want you to see, right? People will show you what they want you to see. So, you have to be able to be real with yourself and be like, all right, well, what's this person, I see your wins all the time because that's what you post. That's all you post. What about your losses? I want to learn how you handle your losses, how you mitigate your risks every time you take a loss in the markets, because that's the kind of guy that I want to follow, is the guy that can get down and get right back up and keep going. Not the guy that disappears after he has a $20,000 day, like you were talking about. Happens all the time. Like we see it everywhere. But again, there's a lot of red flags when stuff like that happens,
Oh, exactly. I couldn't agree more, man. I couldn't agree more. And that's why, like, no matter what, because I'm sure, I mean, man, we've done some, even in the past, like, the businesses together, like we've done some wild stuff, man, jets, yachts, exotic cars, like we've done all of that, right? But I personally really try to stay away from a lot of that stuff, right, on social media, because I think I built a pretty solid following of people who actually want to learn how to trade. And if there's one thing that I've noticed personally, right, when I switched up, because back in the day, I know you remember my Instagram got hacked a while ago, right? A couple years back, my Instagram got hacked. I had to start over. That's actually when I came to YouTube, guys, and I started posting on YouTube instead. But when I created the whole RockStarrFX like persona, it was really like a rebrand. It was really like a rebrand because, I would say when I was younger, my early 20s, I was all lifestyle. That's all I did. Early 20s, man, traveling, living life, cars, right? That's when like rental cars were big and stuff like that. Like just traveling. And I don't never knock anybody that travels and rents a car. Like, I don't think that really makes sense. If you're going to flaunt it as your own, then that's different. That's weird, right? But I mean, why would I want to rent a Toyota if I'm traveling, right? I'd rather get a nice car, right? If I got the money for it. But that's all I used to do. It's just post lifestyle. And when I started doing the YouTube thing, I started to realize that the quality of people, and this is, I mean, it's no offense. Like if this hits you, if you're watching this live right now and this hits you, it's for you, right? Sometimes we got to get hurt, right, to get healed. Okay, it's just how it is, right? When you get a cut on your kneecap and you put that alcohol on it, when mommy and daddy put the alcohol on it, it stings, but it's healing. Okay, so if this hurts you, it's for you. But sometimes when we're younger and we're going through this, I just noticed I started to attract a better quality of people when I started to post more value, when I started to post results. Like I used to always post the live trading sessions on YouTube, started to post results, and I started to actually teach how I did X, Y, and Z rather than just talk about me making a bunch of money, me living my life, me traveling and flexing with motivational quotes on Instagram, right? And I'm not knocking anybody that does it, right? I'm not knocking it, but I just noticed a better quality of people. And that goes back to, and I think that's where my mind kind of really rewired a little bit in understanding and really saying, okay, look, when I'm following certain people, I want to follow people that post value. I want to follow people that are actually teaching. I want to follow people that are providing substance and value into my life and into my trading. And I think you do a great job at that. I think everybody that we've had here on the live stream so far does an amazing job at that. But I think the people are tired of hearing me talk. So my guy John says it's another person, and I think success leaves clues. So if you're watching this right now, success leaves clues. This is the second trader that we've gotten on, all right, that trades leverage style, MT4, MT5, all right, long-term, a little bit more long-term on the positions, but they trade smart money concepts, right? Smart money trading, smart money concepts, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah,
that's what they're doing. So Josh is another smart money trader. Like I said, extremely patient with what he does, but I've seen the consistent results. So he's going to get on real quick. And he's going to break down, I guess, his strategy, how he does certain things. He's going to show you guys the charts and do some of that. And if you guys have any questions along the way, we're going to do a short, Q&A at the end. We'll answer a few questions before we wrap it up. But with that being said, I'm going to hand it back to you, my brother Josh. You go ahead, take over, and educate to the masses. By the way, Josh, like the title of this video says, does live streams and teaches for free as well. So he does these type of live streams. He teaches absolutely for free. So another gem in the trading space that ain't charging you thousands of dollars to learn and be able to, quit your job and start making money with your profits and doing what you got to do. All right. So Josh, go ahead, take over, brother. Let's get it.
Definitely. Yeah. I guess later on we could drop like the Telegram group. I usually drop like weekly breakdowns and stuff like that. I share value with everyone there for free. I don't charge you guys anything for that. But yeah, what I can do is share my screen, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. Let me
awesome.
Make sure that's available to you. All right, you should be good. Let me know if you can do it.
Let's see. Continue. Desktop 2. There we go. All right. Can you still hear me good?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. All right. Yeah. So I'll keep this brief, but I also want to make sure you guys have a good understanding of what smart money is, what how it works and things like that. But essentially, smart money concepts is a style of trading where what we do as traders, we pretty much incorporate institutional concepts within our trading, within our technical, style of trading, in addition to fundamentals that ultimately allows us to have what's called an edge in the markets. So what an edge really is your ability to be consistent in the markets, regardless of, market conditions or regardless of what your confluence is made out of and things like that. It's you having, I guess you could say, a quote unquote, a fix, right? So when people come to you, when investors come to you and they want to invest in you, they ask you, what's your fix? What's your edge? What makes you a profitable person? Like what makes you a valuable asset? And that's what, trading is about discovering your edge, right? So yeah, with smart money concepts, again, institutional style of trading, we take what we know about technical analysis, we use fundamentals, and then we break it down. We go over things like liquidity, we talk about order blocks, market inefficiency, things like that ultimately help you refine and understand what it is that you are looking at. But yeah, so I have the US dollar against the Swiss franc. This is one of the pairs that I absolutely love to trade. I don't know why. I just have such a good understanding of why this thing moves the way it does, and although sometimes it has its crazy breakouts and whatnot, but it's a pair that I've been following for a while. So what I'll do is I'm not sure how granular I'm going to get with you guys, but I will, I guess, start from the basic intermediate level kind of information, and I'll just, scale it up from there. So what we know about, trading when it comes to technicals and how we're going to incorporate smart money with that is, number one, I'll give you guys an example here. We already know how to tell the difference between an uptrend and a downtrend using basic price action, right? The idea is for us to essentially be in flow with the market, to be in harmony with the market. I always tell, even with my students, right, and people that I teach, I always say, look, you are either following the liquidity or you are the liquidity, right? And the goal is for you to be following where the market's going, following where the money's going. So what I typically do when I'm doing my markups or when I'm analyzing the charts is I first identify what kind of trend I'm looking at, what kind of structure am I looking to get involved in, right? And to kind of clean this thing up a little bit, I'll actually replay this back here, and we'll start from here. We'll do this. So obviously we should all know at this point, right, that if we're looking at a bullish structure, what validates that? And that's going to be having a series of lower highs and higher lows and higher highs. So first things first, we identify our lowest point. Like in this example, we got our lowest point here. Then we start to identify our higher lows, and we just mark up our higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and so on and so forth, right? So that's what I do. That's how I start off, at least on the bigger time frames. I identify what kind of market, what kind of structure am I looking at? And then from there, I start to pay attention at key levels where you can start to look at things like liquidity, where you start to see things like order blocks. For example, I'll show you guys what liquidity looks like in the market. So let's take a look at, let's see here. This isn't, I guess, not the best example, but we'll use this for now. So oftentimes in the markets, when we see equal highs and equal lows, like we see it all the time, right? When the market has tapped into a particular level of resistance or a certain level of support several times, often than not, we look at that and say, all right, well, every time market hits this resistance, we're going to sell it. And every time market hits the support, we're going to buy it. And that's like very elementary style of trading, in my opinion, because yes, although the market provides an equal opportunity for both sides of the fence to make money, ultimately you want to be able to take the highest probability trades that yield very small risk and a very high reward. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have your equal highs here. So we'll mark up the equal highs. And for those of you who don't really know this, equal highs, whenever you see the market hitting a certain level more than once, believe it or not, that's actually an area of liquidity. And if you don't know what liquidity is, I'll actually type it up right here for you so you can take a screenshot or save this. But liquidity, this is my abbreviation of it, is an area in the market that is made up of several, or an area in the market where pending orders reside, along with stop orders such as limit orders, stop losses, stop orders, etc. Right? So what happens is that at these levels of liquidity, you have a lot of orders that are being accumulated at these levels. And what happens is when there's a lot of orders that are being accumulated at said levels, there's only a matter of time before the markets completely take out these levels of liquidity. As a matter of fact, I'll show you guys a very good example on the dollar, because obviously this pertains to the dollar, but I'm going to demonstrate what I mean by that on the dollar, since that's a currency that I've been taking a look at, and I trade that oftentimes and not. But like I said, when it comes to the equal highs, while I let that load, that's an area where a lot of orders have to be taken out. So while you have your average retail trader who waits for the market to hit this level of resistance for it to come back down, yes, they make some money. They look at this, they take their sells, they're the best trader ever, sniper entries, all that mumbo jumbo. And then next thing you know, what ends up happening is they get completely flushed out. Why? Because there's liquidity, a level of liquidity in the market at these equal highs that need to be taken out. Now, what happens after that level of liquidity gets taken out, now the market starts to print, right, areas of support or levels of demand. Essentially, it's the same thing, right? Different terminologies, same meaning. But as the market takes out these levels of liquidity, you want to pay attention to how the market reacts after the fact. So we have the equal highs that were taken out, market comes back and mitigates the previous level of demand or previous level of support. So it just barely touches it. where now you're able to take your position. Now, this is where you actually look to enter, not here, not here, but here. First of all, you wouldn't even know to enter at this pullback, right? You wouldn't know to enter, especially when the market leaves you with such rejection like that. So what you do is you let the market play out, let the market take out the liquidity. And then once it taps and mitigates your level, your POI, right, your level of support or demand, whatever the case is, then that's when you start to assess your risk, right? So if you were to look for price to tap back into this level of demand, you mitigate your risk. You say, all right, well, price comes and taps into this level of demand. I'm going to take this and put my stop at the previous low and take this for the retest of the previous high. And then sure enough, you know, obviously, as you guys can see, the market ends up taking out the previous highs, validating, right, on the bigger time frame, like we spoke about before, validating that it's still maintaining its bullish structure. So it's like a series of other things among that, because I know I mentioned, you know, order blocks, I mentioned market efficiency, market inefficiency, but for the most part, that's how I start off my my breakdowns. I first identify what kind of structure I'm looking at, and then I start to tailor it down to looking at areas of liquidity. Is there any type of liquidity that is still in the market that hasn't gotten taken out yet? Is there any imbalances, you know, fair value gaps? I'll give you guys another example, right, where you have equal highs, equal lows, but there's also something called buy side and sell side liquidity. So I'll give you a quick example of that. So I'm going to delete this really quick. Let's see here. Okay. And so we'll say, for example purposes, so that I'm not driving you guys crazy with this, we'll call this our buy side, our sell side liquidity. So we'll mark that as liquidity. And then, as I always say, whenever there's a level of liquidity in the market, that needs to get taken out. So then you eventually start to see, at sooner or later, at some point, the market starts to have its corrections, where even on the smaller time frames, you start to see liquidity get taken out. The market sometimes will get into a range, but eventually that's what tends to happen is the market will take out, or will seek to take out certain levels of liquidity that are engineered in the market. And it, you know, liquidity, like I said, it's built up, buy side liquidity, sell side liquidity. It's all the same. It always has to get taken out. But just like you guys see, as I'm playing this right now for you, right, we could say that all of this here, this structure, previous structure, was sell side liquidity, or buy side liquidity that was engineered that needed to get taken out. And the market pulled back as far as what, down here? Or actually, look, it did take it out completely, right? It completely took out this buy side liquidity, engineering new lows, right? They're being printed in the market. And it happens all the time. Another example is right here. That's another level. That's another buy side liquidity there. Has to get taken out. And then, you know, what's funny is that, again, your average trader, right? Average retail trader says, oh, I'm just going to buy it every time it hits this support. I'm just going to keep buying it. I'm just going to keep buying price every time it taps this trend line, right? I'm just going to keep buying it, and keep buying it. So it's important to, and then of course, eventually they get flushed out, as I like to say. So it's important to, number one, understand that the market, like I said, it gives both sides of the fence an equal chance to make money. It's not, I'm not saying that this is the correct way to trade and that everything else you guys have heard in the past is the wrong way to trade. What I'm saying is that as a trader, you have to change, you have to be able to have the ability to change your point of view on the markets, especially when you're doing your markups. And more importantly, when the market isn't reacting the way that you thought it would, you have to be able to change your perspective. because if you have a fixed bias or a fixed point of view on a particular setup or a particular structure, then when you get moves like this, you're not gonna be able to capitalize on that. So it's like playing devil's advocate with yourself, and being able to identify, what can happen if the market does X, Y, and Z. So of course, you got people that bought at this point, they got taken out. Now the market eventually took out this buy side liquidity. And then I'm going to show you guys really quick on the DXY. I went over this with my students actually on Sunday, I believe. Let's see. There we go. So I'll delete this real quick. Another example here. The market had printed a series of equal lows up until this point, right? So you have your low here, equal low there, and almost, it didn't really come down, but as far down. But again, let's say these equal lows were liquidity that was engineered in the market that needed to get taken out. And then you have sell side liquidity, right? So you got this up here that still has to get taken out, that hasn't gotten taken out yet. But if we play this, you start to see what got taken out first in the market. So you see, while you had a lot of traders that were waiting for price to come back down to this level of demand on the dollar, you had a lot of people that were waiting for this to happen, right? So your average trader, once again, waiting for price to come back down here so that they can buy it because they think that the market's going to do the same thing it did before. Sure enough, it swept the lows, broke out of that liquidity, and then it went back into the range. And that's where we're at now. So now the question here is, we have this the equal lows that were already taken out. Now, what else needs to get taken out? Well, we have sell side liquidity that was previously engineered in the market that needs to get taken out as well. And also, for anyone that's watching this who already does trade smart money, you already know that, let's see if it'll even show, pull it up on the daily again. You already know that this right here, right, is a level of a premium level of supply. That's a premium level of supply right there. So now that we got the validation, right, that the market took out this liquidity that was at the bottom, went back into the range, all that's left for the market to really do, and we don't know when it's going to happen. We're not mind readers, but all that's left to do is for the market to take out that sell side liquidity and either continue structure, right, to maintain its bullish structure, or we could possibly see a changing character, right, where the market could mitigate this level of premium supply and make its way back down. So those are two different scenarios, but again, that's I guess a quick lesson on liquidity. Different types of liquidity. Again, you have equal lows, you have equal highs, you have buy side liquidity, sell side liquidity, and then you've got things like market inefficiency, where with market inefficiency, and I'll kind of just wrap it up there. When market inefficiency, you want to be able to know when you're looking at structure where whether there's a lot of buying pressure or selling pressure that's taking place. And how you're able to do that is by looking at whether the candles, the wicks on these candles, on each candle, actually meet. So what happens is, for example, when you're looking at a candle, right, and I did a lesson on this, I think on the free group that we have, I did a lesson on this some time ago. When you have a candle that has a very small wick, right, a very large body, but the wicks actually meet, that is what would be considered price inefficiency. where what that pretty much says to us is that, you know, there isn't enough pressure on the market for it to go in a particular direction, right? So I'm gonna pull this up really quick for you guys. I have it here on my slides, a lot easier to explain if I pull this thing up. Bear with me 1 second. Let's see here. All right, perfect. Perfect. So here we go. Market inefficiency imbalances. All right. So kind of like this, right? You take a look at how there's a gap between the wicks on the first candle and the third candle. The wicks do not meet. So that's when you have an imbalance, right? Pretty much letting you know that this is inefficient price action. Okay. And vice versa, right? When on the other hand, if you're looking at a gap between the wicks on the first candle and the third, but the wicks do meet, there, that signifies that this is efficient price action. This pretty much tells us that there is not enough selling pressure, for example, in the market for the market to maintain its structure, right? So that means that as time goes on, as we see more candles like this, it starts to let us know on a technical standpoint that the selling pressure is not sufficient. Therefore, we're approaching that moment where the sellers are starting to opt out of the market and the buyers will potentially soon start taking control, right? But if you don't see that, then that means that there's a lot of inefficiency. So that means that the market's very much still either bearish or still bullish, right? So that's why it's very important to pay attention to everything that you see in the market. It's not just, you know, looking at support and resistance and looking at reversal candles, but you're taking all of these different instruments that are helping you really create your edge, right? That's helping you build your confluence. But yeah, that was a quick lesson on liquidity, a quick lesson on, you know, looking at key levels, understanding whether there's a lot of selling pressure or buying pressure that's taking place in the market. That's ultimately going to help you understand the direction of where price is going, you know, because you don't want to fall under the one thing I always say, right, is you don't want to put yourself in the shoes of everybody else that trades the same way. Because when you do that, it's, for example, if you go to like Forex Factory, right, on the very bottom right-hand side, they'll show you how many traders, according to their data, are looking to go long and looking to go short on a trade, right? I'm not saying to do the opposite of everyone else, but what I'm saying is when you think like everyone else and you just go off of some basic support resistance trend line type of thing, you are going to make money. You are. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, the market gives us all a fair chance to make money. But the question is, can you be consistent? Because how many times are you going to keep making money before you get liquidated? You know what I'm saying? So that's essentially the point I'm trying to make is, again, is for you to be able to survive in the market and to follow the liquidity, not actually be the liquidity, right? So because then if you are, you're going to get wiped out. Same way that it happens all the time. So hopefully that makes sense. And Rico, if you're still there, I guess I'm not sure if there's anything else you kind of want me to cover, but yeah, hopefully that kind of.
No, I think that was on fire, man. I'm over here. I was participating. I felt like I was on one of your live sessions just now. I was looking at the chat. This is good stuff, man. I think, and I'll let guys, first and foremost, man, drop some service in the chat box real quick. If you guys are excited to learn a little bit more about what Josh just went over, but I mean, I'm listening to you and I'm looking at this, and I'm very much a visual person. So to see you, you know, on the charts doing your thing with that, and then, you know, after that to, you know, go ahead and pull up that slideshow. I'm looking at the slideshow, right? And I actually started, you know, getting into a little bit of smart money myself as well, right? And I kind of made a goal for myself. I want to be like, I think I want to be one of the first binary options traders, right? That's tapping into smart money and running it up, man. Because I've been learning a lot, and that's why I like doing these sessions, because we do these sessions so that the viewers can learn. But I feel like every time I do these sessions and I watch another trader go over what it is that they're doing, I learn a little bit more myself. And I start thinking about my own strategy. And I'm like, yo, like that can help me when I'm looking for certain setups, right? And one of the things you were talking about, like that, the wicks at the end, right? I don't got all the terminology down yet for the smart money. But when you pulled up the slideshow, the wick to the wick kind of thing, I'm like, yeah, yo, that can help me with reversals, with my entries. I know a little bit about FVGs, so fair value gaps and stuff like that. I already know order blocks and stuff like that. But I think, like, all in all, I think that's all fire stuff. And I know that you do a lot of these sessions. You do sessions, I believe, weekly, right? Every week you do like trainings and stuff like that.
Yes. So I'm in a Facebook group right now. It's a public group where you're able, I do 2 sessions a week, right? I do them on Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Wednesdays. It's always the same time. It's always the same days of the week.
Okay.
Sundays, I give everybody like a breakdown. I let you guys know, like, this is what I'm looking at for the week. This is what I'm personally putting my money into. And then on Wednesdays, I, let everybody know, okay, this is what happened from Sunday to Wednesday. And this is what we can, look forward to for the remainder of the week.
Fire. Okay, so what we're gonna do is because I know you have your Telegram, you have your Instagram as well, right? So you have Telegram, you got an Instagram. I'm sure when you go live, you probably drop the links on Instagram or Telegram, and you go live in the Facebook and so on and so forth. By the way, guys, we're all in this Facebook group, coincidentally, right? So it's a free, kind of like a community that's being put together. If you guys know Mind on Billions with Ness, we had Ness on a few weeks ago. But we just got a bunch of traders together, and we're all just participating and contributing to this, free trading community. It's almost like YouTube, but it's an actual group, right? It's a group. So I think that's pretty fire. I know Josh is a part of that. He does live sessions on Facebook every week, like he said, twice a week. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna have your Telegram link in the chat and in the description of this video, as well as your Instagram too. So you guys can go follow Josh. And if you want, you can actually drop it on the chat box, and I'll go ahead and I'll repost it into the YouTube chat box. And I know you're not watching from YouTube right now, right? So yeah, man. I mean, all in all, fire. I know everyone here. I see the chat box now. People are lighting this thing up. They're enjoying it. And I always say, like I said before, success leaves clues, man. I've been trading for a very long time, and like my guy TB, right? TB Tutorial said this. He said, I've been seeing a lot of this style of trading lately. I will look more into it, right? And I'm assuming you're talking about like smart money, smart money concepts and that, kind of formulating of, being able to learn that style of strategy of trading. I'm the same way, man. I've been trading for a very long time, and I'm starting to see a common denominator in all of my friends and the people around me that I know that see some good success in trading. And I'm talking about like on the long term MT4, MT5. A lot of the people that I know always kind of revert to trading smart money, right? And I think personally, smart money is probably going to be the way to go. I talk about it all the time. Like, people on social media are always looking for the best strategy. Like, everyone says, I got the best strategy, number one strategy, learn my strategy, make millions of dollars, right? I think smart money just might be that way. It seems like everyone just reverts back to it. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I've been on it since so last summer I did a challenge for myself, and kind of goes back to what you were talking about earlier. Like, I'm also just like on the same boat as you, where I'm not, I don't get sold on the materialistic things. I like to look at the analytics. I like to look at the data. And I think that I definitely give a shout out to, the sales industry for teaching me the importance of that. I used to very much overlook that. I actually used to think that stuff was corny, to be honest. But then I guess, I don't know if that has to do with age or what, but, I guess for me, analytics is everything, dude. Like, you can have you have a bad month trading. You go back on your MyFX book and you look back at what you did through 2, 3, 4, 5 months ago, and you're like, got it. So that's now I know where I went wrong. You know what I mean? So last summer I did a challenge for myself where I said, all right, let me take a $2,600 account and let me see what I can do with this. So in a matter of, and it wasn't even planned, like the timing is just, I think the market conditions were just in my favor. I don't even know, but I took a $2,600 account to 11,484, I think. It was 15,000, but I did get a little you know, it got a little crazy at the end.
Got a little crazy.
Yeah, but nonetheless, I took what I had, because you know, I bought into different courses. I paid different mentors to learn about smart money and, you know, all that ICT, all that cool stuff. But I took that, I saw the results and I said, holy cow, like I was able to do that in a summer. Like, what happens if I take the rest of the year, like the next year, and I study I just study this diligently. So right now I'm actually doing a challenge, and I post about this on my Telegram group as well, where I'm taking currently I'm taking a $2,000 account to 20,000. And you know, I'm not giving myself a time period at the beginning. I was like, I'm doing it in 90 days, but then I thought about it and I was like, nope, I'm not doing that to myself. So I was like, it's gonna take as long as it's gonna take, but it's gonna happen. So I'm doing that currently, documenting it live on my Telegram channel, and also for the students that I actually, you know, I do like personal coaching and things like that, where, you know, I have my own Discord and stuff like that. Like, people pay to go through my course and all that. You know, I update them on that as well. But yeah, man, like if for anybody listening, if I could give you guys like a quick word of advice, is find ways for you to challenge yourself, especially if you're in trading. Only because I feel like if you, and I've even heard a lot of big names in the trading community talk about the same exact thing, but if you don't look for ways to challenge yourself, then you're not going to really get as far as you want to get. You know, challenge yourself, like challenge yourself to take a bigger trade than you normally would, and see how you would handle that win. How would you handle the win? How would you handle the loss? Like, challenge yourself here and there, doing things that you normally wouldn't do. And guess what? Whether it goes your way or not, it's going to make you a better person at the end of the day. That's what trading is. You know, it's a journey of you becoming a better version of yourself, and that reflects on the charts. So there's that.
Sir. Yes, sir. No, that's fire, man. That's fire. So we're gonna get to the chat box real quick. There's a few questions. There's a few questions we're gonna go over. All right. And I know you already went over a lot of good stuff, so I don't want to hold you too much. I know it's Friday night, you got things to do. And if you got any more questions, guys, drop them in the chat real quick, because we're gonna go over all that stuff right now. But so somebody was asking, and this is the question I get a lot, and I know some traders don't really like to kind of talk about it, because it's almost like promotion at that point. But it's also a very common question in the trading world, especially for newer people. So somebody had asked earlier, they said, what broker do you personally use, or which ones do you prefer? And I'll take the question a little step further, right? So if you want, you can say whatever broker you're on, but I would ask, instead of asking that, what is it that you look for in a broker when you choose a broker?
Yeah, so I'll be flat honest with you guys. That's a good question. I used to pay very close attention to regulated versus unregulated, right? That's a whole like rabbit hole that we could dive into another day. But the thing for me is that I pay attention to reviews. You call me old school, call me old fashioned, but I pay a lot of attention to reviews. I pay a lot of attention to who runs the broker, where is the broker based out of, what kind of reputation, public reputation, does the broker have? And also, I've had moments where I've even gone around in the trading community and I've asked other traders, I've asked successful traders, as other successful traders, other traders that make more 100 times more money than I do, right? I go to them and I ask them for their straight, unbiased opinion. So that for me is what I would do before pulling the trigger on a broker, because I think that with the broker that you guys would use, ultimately it's a lot more important than you think it is, because there's a lot of brokers out there that can just, with a flip of a switch, they take your money and they run, and there's nothing you can do about it. But with that said, this is going to sound a little controversial, but with that said, there's a reason why it's important for you to do your due diligence and do your research. I personally, I trade with an unregulated broker. Okay. But even with that said, I took more than enough time, as I would like to say, to do my research on the reviews of the broker, who runs the broker, the reputation, can they give me my money in time? If I have a really good month, can I withdraw? And I'm not talking about $1,000 or $500, because I'm talking about if I have a $10,000 month, can I withdraw that money at the end of that month? And can I get it within the same week? That's what I want to know. So things like that. That's why I go around and ask other people in the trading community. But the broker I use right now, it's Eagle FX. Very good broker. I haven't had any withdrawal issues with them. I've been with them now for, I want to say, 3 months. So, it's not a lot of time, but deposits were quick. The leverage, no issue with leverage, no issue with margin calls and spreads. Nothing, no issues with spreads whatsoever. And like I said, the withdrawals, I'll have like my $1,000 withdrawals, $1,200 withdrawals. No, big deal. As far as a review on like a 6-figure withdrawal, when I get there, I'll update you guys on that one.
Yeah, people be asking me, man, can I withdraw, $20,000? Can I withdraw $100,000 to this platform? I'm like, did you even make that money yet? No. Yeah. All right, so let's worry about it when we get there, right? Let's, But no, I think when it comes to the brokers, man, it's always a very touchy topic. Broker talk is just as painful as binary options talk, right? It really is. Look, I'll tell you right now. Hold on real quick. Before we continue on, guys, if you're watching this right now, you haven't dropped a like on the video already, make sure you like the video so we can get more people viewing this content, more people getting that value and getting what it is that they need from this platform, right? But when it comes to talking about brokers, I always tell people exactly what Josh just said. It's you really kind of got to do your own diligence. You got to look into it, because here's the truth. I say it all the time. The internet is like a bathroom wall, right? And I'm a little bit opposite to Josh, but when it comes to doing the research and getting people's advice, but the internet is like a bathroom wall, man. People are gonna write whatever it is that they write on the internet, and there's no filters, there's no blocks. They can write whatever they want, right? The thing is though, when you're doing your diligence and you're doing your research on anything, okay, do not go in with the average mentality of only looking for the negatives, only looking for the bad. That's what most people do. And you got to understand, right? I have never written a Uber Eats, review from a place that I liked, right? It's just the truth, man. If it was a good place, I recommend it to people. If it's a bad place, okay, if they messed up my order, if they best believe I'm contacting support, I'm letting them know I didn't get, they got the wrong taco sent to me, right? My point is that people, all right, naturally, we just complain about bad more than we spread the love about the positive. And that's just how people are. So when you're doing your research on your broker, when you're doing your research, or even on binaries, somebody had asked earlier, right? Let me go up. But isn't options binaries, right? It's binary options. But isn't binary options incredibly risky? It is, but it depends, man. Everybody has their own thing. I like it. I've been training it for years. Josh has been in my house, seen me make money trading it, right? I like it. I love it. Is it a little bit more risky than the average? Yeah, it is. But it pays for a lot of the things that I do today, right? It pays for a lot of the lifestyle that I have today. And same thing with the brokers. It's a touchy subject because, listen, when we get on these platforms, we understand we have a following. We got people that are watching us. We never want to say something that's going to put somebody in harm's way or recommend something and say hey, this is the broker that you got to use. You'll never hear me say that. This is the broker that everybody should be using. This is this. You got to understand when it comes to regulated versus unregulated, there is a difference between the two. Regulated will always be the safest route, but even then, there's still things that go on in the known space. Look at what just happened with things like freaking Sam Bankman-Fried, or however you now pronounce his name. People lost millions and millions of dollars, with FTX and all that kind of stuff. So things can always go bad, is my point, right? Things can always go bad. You just got to come in, make the decision for yourself. Say, okay, look, there's a lot of good reviews on this, right? I can get my money quick, right? The leverage is good. The spreads are good. Whatever the case may be, if you trade MT4, MT5, right? And make a decision based off of that. Try it out. If you like it, stick with it. If you don't, go to another broker, right? I've seen, something very common that people change brokers a lot. It's not it's like changing banks, right? I know some people are married to their bank. I moved down here to Florida. I've been using Citibank for a few years. Moved down here to Florida. There's no Citibanks in my area whatsoever. So I say, you know what? Boom, I'm done with Citibank. I'm going to Chase. Now, does that mean that Chase is better than Citibank? Probably not. I don't know. But that's my preference right now. And that's the point that I'm trying to get to, right? Josh, I know you were about to say something. What were you saying?
No, I was definitely in agreement with what you were saying. The brokers it's a very important thing for you to take your time and really do enough research on. Because again, it's your money that's at stake, right? It's your personal hard-earned money that you're investing in the markets. And you know, anybody that tells you that X, Y, and Z is the best broker, that's another red flag in the trading community. And you'd be surprised. It happens oftentimes and not, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, you guys do your research. I personally trade with EgoFX. I personally haven't had any issues, so I can't speak on anyone else. As far as the withdrawals, I've seen people withdraw up to 30,000, you know, and get their money within the same day. But again, that nothing is guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? So you take your time, do your due diligence, do your research, and develop a relationship with the broker, if anything, you know, and just take it from there.
Let's get it. Let's get it. So last question before we go ahead and wrap this thing up. And this kind of brings it to an actual wrap as well, as we usually do these kind of sessions. So this is a great question. Legends, right, with a 3 at the end, right? Legends asks, would you have any recommendations for a beginner trader with no prior experience? I am struggling to make good trades and I can't find a good strategy. What recommendations would you have to somebody that's brand new, that's struggling with strategy, struggling with trades? They're brand new, they're just trying to get in, right? You have any advice?
Yes, I have one word, or maybe it's 2 words. Baby pips. All right, that's my advice. Babypips.com. That I tell everybody this. Like I have a lot of people that come to me for beginner level coaching and like basic type of mentorship, and I tell them, listen, the best thing you can do if you want to see how serious you're willing to take this, you will go on Baby Pips and you will go through the entire Forex course. That right there should be the very first thing, amongst a few other things, but that should be one of the first things that you should do. You know, if you're gonna look into making trading your career, because again, how do you know if you're serious about trading? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you know that you're serious? Why? Because you saw a few people make money online and now you're excited and you have this vision that you're gonna change your life with trading. That's good to have that mindset, but how do you know that how do you know you're gonna be here a year from now? You're 5 years from now. How do you know that? You know, so test yourself, go through that curriculum. Again, babypips.com, go through the free information. And then from there, if you still need mentorship, at least you have some substance to work with, right? But I think that's going to help you on your, because it also sounds like a confidence thing. If you're talking about you don't know how to take trades and you don't feel good about taking trades, or maybe you're taking a trade or you're scared to even take a trade, that all comes from confidence. The more you learn, the more your confidence increases. So you got to take the time to go through the basics. Sometimes I go through that sometimes. If I had this week, I had a losing week this week, but you know, what do? I take the weekend and I go back to the basics. I go back and I go through all the stuff that I invested in the past that got me to this point. I go right back to it, square one. You know what I mean? So be willing to do the same thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we'll go ahead, man. Josh, I appreciate you for hopping on with us. I know it was almost kind of last minute, but we still got it done, man. And I'm sure everybody that's on the live, appreciates it as well. If you guys are still on with us, you're live right now. Make sure you go ahead, you like the video, show some love to Josh. I dropped his Instagram in the live chat box. If you're watching the replay right now, it's going to be in the description, as well as his free Telegram group as well. But like I said, Josh, we appreciate you for getting on, man. Let's continue to run this thing up. Hopefully we see some more of you in the future. I know you're getting into the YouTube thing too, right? So we might drop your YouTube in the description
trying to get like you, man.
There you go, man. We're gonna run it out. We're gonna do what we gotta do, man. But all in all, Josh posts a lot of great value. As you can see, he's very like myself. When it comes to teaching, I'm very calm and mellow. He's mellow 24/7. So you know what I'm saying? Let's get to it. Let's do what we gotta do. I'm excited. But as always, guys, it's your boy Rico, aka RockStarrFX, wrapping it up for the night. Go enjoy your Friday. We out. Peace.
Let's go.
Let's go.